Well, cheer, y'all. Welcome back to Right at the Wire. Well, we've got a full stakes-laden card at Gulfstream on Saturday. We've got anchored by the Florida Derby for the boys, but we've also got for the girls the Gulfstream Park Oaks and Oaks Prep Grade 2. Running the ninth race on Saturday's card, running a mile and a 16th for 3-year-old fillies. And while we do know that Gulfstream has increased the run-up for two-turn races. We do have to remember they are going to encounter a turn pretty quickly, so horses to the outside are a little bit of a disadvantage. Now, we do have a kind of a small field here, so it's not as pronounced, but it's just something just to think about when you're looking at this race. You see this field, they might as well call this the C2 Racing Classic. They've got 3 in this race, and Saffie Jospeh has 3 as well. So we'll note those in a bit, but you see, we've got early on, who just had a pretty good second in the Virginia Oaks, the Queen's MG, who won the Devona Dale, 5G, who had a really stubborn second in the Honeybee at Oaklawn, and Cassiar, which is a really interesting horse debuting at around 2 turns and at a stakes for Shug McGahee. You don't see that too often. And Paradise City, who's coming off the bench for this one, has 2-turn experience. So it's a pretty good field, I think, albeit small. Taking a look at it, you've only got a confirmed one front runner, I think, in Honest Promise. However, I think it's a pretty good bet that 5G is probably going to go to the front as well. Honest Promise, it has been a different horse since adding Lasix, and I think that's pretty pronounced. The last 2 starts, she's been much better. You'll note she was put up for a claim 3 times before being claimed by Dale Romans, and I think that's a pretty good indication that there may be some chinks in the armor there. And it does look like she needs Lasix to run effectively. Not going to get it here. So that in the presence of 5G and a classier field, I'm going to let go. The 5G, I think, will be the pace. That's the way she runs. Really nice race in the Honeybee, kind of unexpected. And she just couldn't quite hold on, but she did. She was stubborn all the way. And this is a gamer. This is one who really likes to compete. I do have some concerns that may take a little out of her, but I think you have to figure her. She'll be the pace, and the way Gulfstream is configured, Oaklawn was speed favoring that day, and Gulfstream always is. So I think there's a lot of things to like for 5G. I just wonder about that race being a little much for. That's all. Early on, it had a good second in the Virginia Oaks around 1 turn, and now Saffie wheels this one back on 2 weeks rest, which I think is a positive for sure. 1-turn race not being as strenuous, and when you consider early on was way back early in that race and came flying late, probably has enough to be competitive here. The thing I worry about, though, I don't like seeing horses when they move into stakes company and they take that far back. It's almost like we're saying we're not good enough to win this, and we'll just try to, hustle up and get a chunk. And that's kind of what I see a little bit with early on. Lasix certainly wasn't the issue, ran a good race, but do note that was a pretty light speed figure. Brisnet was 80 in compare. That's about 10 points lighter than the better horses in here. So that gives me a little concern for that race. But early on, I think you can use. I see more as one to probably get underneath, especially if she has to be that far back at Gulfstream. That may present a problem because I'm not so sure the pace is going to be terribly lively. So early on, one to use, but I think more for underneath. The Queen's MG, boy, she just keeps moving on, doesn't she? Every time you think you count her out, she comes back and does something like the Devona Dale. It didn't seem like she should have won that race. I thought Lucara had that one locked up, but hey, the Queen's MG was true to the task and took it down, had a little bit better position on the inside, but still ran effectively and got the win. Now going around 2 turns, and that's really the only question we have. But in this field, she's certainly a class fit, and I think you have to consider her as one of the candidates to win, and wouldn't surprise me if she does. So the Queen's MG is a very logical use in here. Should be sitting right off the pace, and that'll be a good spot. and won't let 5G get away. And again, I kind of think 5G might not be at 100% for this race. So the Queen's MG, I think, is a very logical contender here. I'm going with Paradise City. And really, the only reason is, well, there's a couple. She's got two-turn experience, is bred for two turns, is coming in fresh. And to give you an idea what they think of her, she ran against the boys 3 back. And, you don't see that too often. And then maybe that was the only race available. That could very well be. But the fact is, she didn't embarrass herself and came back and was very effective around 2 turns. I really liked the last race, what I saw. She seems to be on the improve and now running fresh. I think you have to like her chances. She's going to have to be, I would think, a little bit more forwardly placed, but that's not to say that she can't do it. And I'm going with the other Saffie Jospeh and the other C2. I'm going with Paradise City to kind of steal from the Chad Brown angle. What in the literal, I just didn't see enough to really get excited about. This one has had some bad luck in some races for sure. Really what sours me on her is the fact I never like seeing those horses who debut at 4.5 furlongs stretching out, because they never seem to do it. It's very rare to see one who starts in those, runs in the Bashford Manor at Churchill Downs, those 2-year-old stakes races very early in the year, where they actually turn out to be a really good 2-turn horse. And this one I just don't see enough. I don't see the room for improvement, so I'm going to let go. Cassiar to me is very interesting. You just don't see Shug McGahee move a horse, particularly a filly, from a maiden into a stakes race. This one was very game in the 6.5 furlong debut. I really liked the finish, the grit. She looked beat and just kept coming. Big horse, you got to like that in these races. That is important. And I don't think she'd be in this race unless Shug saw something. And for Will Farish, those are conservative connections, real old school barn. So when you see them moving him up this quickly, I think we have to take notice. You're going to get a price. And I think Cassiar has an outside chance to win this race. If she can move forward around 2 turns, being by City of Light, that shouldn't be a problem. And yes, granted, we don't know if she can run without Lasix yet. That's true. But there's a lot there to like. And again, knowing Shug, the way he trains, I think there's a lot to be said about putting this horse into a stakes race. So we're definitely going to use Cassiar. Looking at our wagering strategy, we're going Paradise City to win. So number 1 to win, I think we'll get a price, maybe the second, third choice. We'll see. And then we'll do our exactas. We'll do 1-3, 1-4, 1-6. To me, the 1-4 with 5G is mainly because she likes to run up on the lead. But I think 1, 3, and 6 are my primary keys in this race. So then we'll do 1-6, and then we'll do 6-1, because, stranger things have happened. Cassiar, I want to account for if she's the real deal around 2 turns. And then we'll key box with 1 on top with 3, 4, and 6. Trifecta, keep it simple. 1-6, 1-6 with 2, 3, 4, and then 1-6 with 2, 3, 4, and 1-6. And like I said, hopefully Cassiar provides a price and can get into the mix to make for a decent return there. So I hope our analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy, and I wish you the best of luck as always. And certainly, if you like content like this, please like and subscribe. Thanks to all of you who keep growing this community. I really appreciate it. Love the comments. Y'all have been really good about providing your thoughts on these races, good and otherwise. And I welcome disagreement. No problem with that. I just ask you do it very civilly. I think we're all adults, right? We can do that. So I welcome disagreement, no problem at all. I don't expect everybody to agree with me, but let's just try to be a little civil when we do it, if that's okay. If you don't mind, don't want to be a hall monitor, but I just want to make that point. So we're going to have more postings this week. We will have full card selections and best bets, value plays for Gulfstream, and the late pick 5, which I believe is all stakes. Got to double check that. And we'll try to get something in for Oaklawn as well. We certainly will have a post for the fantasy stakes, being a really big Oaks prep. So stay tuned for that as well. So that's it from here. More content on the way. I'll talk to you soon. And until then, be well.